Hey, Espree here. Okay, so today's topic on how to grow your podcast is how to set up a podcast guesting tour. Yes, I have been podcasting for so many years, since 2013, over 700 episodes. I've been featured on Apple, on Spotify, and today I want to share with you everything that I know and how I led to be one of the top 10 podcasts to listen to. Let's get into it. So today, how to create a podcast guesting tour. So what is a podcast guesting tour? So a podcast guesting tour is where you are a guest on other podcasts and you do a lot of outreach in order to book being on other people's shows. So I'm gonna walk you through how to go about being a guest on other people's podcasts. The first resource I'm going to give you is you must check out a podcast called Brands That Podcast. That's brandsthatpodcast.com. With Brands That Podcast, they will show you how to do a podcast guesting tour. They have a whole episode about it. But a very brief overview of how you set up a podcast guesting tour. First, you think about what market do you want to attract? Who is your target audience who you want to attract to your podcast? Are you looking to attract people to listen to your podcast too? Or are you looking to attract people because you're trying to gain more thought leader and exposure maybe to a book you're writing? And what kind of people will end up buying that book? So you want to think about your target audience. Who is the target audience you are trying to attract? Let's say you're trying to attract cooking, like people who enjoy cooking. Let's just take that, for example, since I have such an obsession with kitchen gadgets, we'll go with cooking. And so now you look up all the podcasts that focus on a market that is interested in cooking. And so you go look at that. The Apple has a category where you could check out the podcast categories. You could also look for blogs talking about the top 10 podcasts in cooking categories. You can look out for tweets about cooking podcasts. There are so many different avenues. You look up Facebook groups and ask for the best cooking podcasts. You want to check not just reviews, not just what's written about online, but which podcasts are people recommending you listen to for that topic. Those are the podcasts most likely your audience will be in, because if they're recommending it, of course that's what they're listening to. So that means if you want to tap into that, those are the shows that you want to be on, right? So now you form a very personalized outreach email to these podcasts. In the subject line, you state something about that podcast. You state something that really genuinely inspired you. Don't just write a mass email to everybody. That is a no. That is the mistake most people make. They write the same message blanketed to zillions of people with no personalization and sometimes even the wrong name. Actually, more times than not the wrong name. That is the wrong way to do it. What you want to do is you want to create a very personalized message, take time to listen to the show, something that you authentically connect with in the show, write a subject line to match, maybe refer to the host's name, refer to something that really inspired you, refer to something you learned from, and in the subject itself, write from a very genuine place of why you think that you'd add value to the audience and how the show has added value to you. And remember this, and this is the secret sauce, what can you do to further elevate that person? That is the key. All of us in this digital society are all looking to elevate our thought leadership. Everyone is looking on some scale to elevate their thought leadership. So how would you be elevating the presence of that podcast? But don't lead with that, because that is just like a final give. Lead with what genuinely inspires you, or did you gain value from listening to that podcast, right? Then share candidly, hey, listen, I would love to be considered to be a guest. Don't be entitled. Don't say, I should be a guest. Say, I'd love to be considered to be a guest. Don't be presumptuous, right? People work really hard to put together a show. Have respect for that hard work that goes into producing the show. And then say, and in fact, I'm so proud of your show. I resonate with your show so much. I'm happy to share it with, is it your newsletters? Is it your friends? Share a trailer of their show on your own podcast. There's so many different things that you can do in order to further elevate that show's thought leadership. So just think about all the different ways that potentially you can, maybe you could even create content for that show. Maybe you could create TikToks for that show. Maybe you already did. Maybe you go into the message by creating TikToks or different potential Instagram snippets for the show, and you show them that. And last but not least, a surefire way that's gonna up your chances for somebody saying, yes, I totally wanna have you on the show, is a personalized video from you, which you could use a tool called Loom to create that video really easy. Create the video in Loom, insert it into the email, so now it's a hyper-personalized email where someone saw that you truly care about their show, what actually resonated for you, and a video to match to show the personalization. Because there have even been videos sent to me where I could tell it's going out to a ton of people, doesn't count, written off, anything. Who wants an email that gets sent to a zillion people? No one, right? And so make a list of all your dream shows and then make an action plan for yourself to write 2 emails a day, 1 email a day, 5 emails a day, whatever you think is attainable, and have in mind like how many guest spots do you want to be on each month, each quarter, each year, and then work toward that and track the progress and tweak your email as you go. If you see one email is not getting a lot of response, tweak the email again, send it out to another 5 people, change the subject line, change the first word of the email, because remember the first line of the email, because remember the first line people could see right away. So if they see it's something that's not really to them, they're probably just gonna bypass it or archive it right away. And you also don't wanna be marked as spam, right? So the more personalized you get, the more sincere you are, the more people will want to communicate in a sincere way back to you. So remember, when doing a guesting campaign, that you want to do your outreach as authentic as possible and truly show the podcasters you reach out to that you care. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment. I'll be answering your questions that you leave in the comments on the next video, and like and subscribe. It means a lot. And again, I'm taking you on the journey as I'm building my YouTube channel. So if you'd like to see my stats, those are in the show notes too. And all the links I've mentioned, Kamua and everything else, Brands the Podcast, are all in the show notes. And so anytime I create a video, keep it super simple for you to get your podcast up to 10,000 listeners a month. I hope this helped. And remember, your intuition is your oracle. See you in the next episode.